Hello everyone, happy autumn equinox and also partial solar eclipse. I'm recording this on Sunday, September 21st. It's about 11:16 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. This partial solar eclipse is going to be seen more so or experienced more so in the southern hemisphere, like New Zealand, Tasmania. In those areas, they will be gain to experience it a little bit more. It's not going to be a full eclipse. It's going to be a partial. So partial solar eclipse is when that moon is just entering in, crossing the path of the sun. But I like how it's being described. It looks like it's taking a bite out of the sun, and that's a fascinating analogy because the moon is inner energy, it's feminine energy, it's what's going on inside of us. And that feminine energy is going into the masculine realm of the sun, which is the vitality, the life force. So I'm sort of reading this as the moon just softening a little bit of that vitality, life force that the sun offers. So, and it's also apropos because we are, tomorrow being the autumn equinox, we're slowing down, right? Our energy is starting to gear down a little bit. There's still some hustle and bustle because of us transitioning from the summer energy. We're starting to gear down. People are starting new work or they're in transition with jobs, school, so on and so forth is beginning or has already started. So it's just this settling of the particles over the next few weeks. It doesn't happen within a few days. This takes time to settle. So this energy of the moon crossing into the sun is actually very interesting. And also because the sun and moon are in Virgo, solar eclipses take place when the moon is at its darkest phase. So that's why we see that dark moon crossing into the sun when we have a solar eclipse. So we're able to see the moon's energy in the sun. Um, uh, Crossing each other's paths. So, with the sun and moon, and now Mercury in Virgo, um, let's talk a little bit about that. So, I have the decans here for Virgo, and right now we are in our Eight of Discs, which is the sun in Virgo. But interesting too is this is the Tellus Tarot 777 by M.M. Moline. We have Mercury here in Virgo. So Mercury in Virgo um, in the tarot, 10 of discs, relates to wealth. We're starting to see Virgo is the harvest sign. So we're looking at all the work that has been put into something, whether it's a farm, business, any venture, any projects that you've been working on. This is a time to just see how it's been developing and what has developed. Not everything, but a portion of it, what you can give back, what you can share to people. This is a time of any excess that you may have is to start giving, to start maybe having that excess and planting it into something else. Move it into maybe a new project. So the Mercury in Virgo and our sun, moon, all in Virgo. Here's the thing that's interesting. They're all in the 12th house right now. So the 12th house, we have 12 houses in astrology. And each house is governed by a sign. So Aries is governs the first house. And so think of the houses as rooms. That's one way of describing one house, but with 12 rooms. And in each of these rooms, there is someone who is in charge of each of those rooms. And the person who is in charge of each of these rooms have these characteristics, these personalities. So the 12th house is governed by the sign of Pisces, okay, which is the opposing sign of Virgo. I don't like to say opposing sign because they are opposite on the astrological wheel, but I always emphasize when I do my readings, we always should be looking at our opposites. Okay, we can be comfortable with our sun sign, the sign that reveals how we behave, how we act in the external realm. But I also feel that the opposing sign that you have is something that reveals aspects that we may not go there as often. You know, we may not explore as much. So earth and water, earth being Virgo, water being this Pisces, they're both mutable. Virgo's a mutable sign, so there's a sense of movement and feeling things out, but also Virgo is known to be meticulous, very particular in the way that they do things, and that kind of energy allows Virgo to move in a slower way. Okay, but they're moving, but they're being very mindful of their environment, of where they are, so that they can make choices and take action accordingly. But they're very simple. It's not like the abundance that comes in with a harvest sign like Virgo. It's not like they take everything in. They're aware of, you know, storing stuff aside and, you know, saving it for the winter months, and then activating what they've saved and putting it to use, putting it as a resource as we go from winter to spring. So Pisces comes in. Pisces is having this conversation, the opposing sign of Virgo. Pisces is having this conversation with Virgo, which is our hermit here. They're asking, okay, what are some of the things that we need to clean up in our house? And that's where the 12th house comes in. The 12th house deals with secrets. It deals with things that we're really holding in, but it's time to release it and to see how it's affecting you. It's like we have all these different forces and energies within ourselves. Okay, so imagine within ourselves we have all these 12 houses. Okay, but at this moment we're dealing with the 12th house. We're dealing with things that are of a healing nature, trying to understand what needs to be revealed, what needs to be let go. And that's what this Pisces personality characteristic is guiding Virgo towards. It's asking, what do we really need to release? You know, look within yourself, see any skeletons, anything creepy, anything that's very unusual. How can we move this out or transform it into something else? Okay, and that's where the hermit is. The hermit is almost like the inner self. It's like we're turning ourselves outside in. And this is what we're seeing here of the Virgo archetype of the hermit. Now, also, I wanted to point out too, the hermit is sometimes seen as an old, wise individual. And in this deck, the Tellus Tarot, the hermit is almost a transformation of the Fool, the Magician. Okay, the Magician is Mercury based, and Mercury is the planet that rules or enforces the energy of Virgo. And the Fool, the Fool, the Magician, and develops, they learn their lessons and they become the hermit. And so there's an aging process. And if you look at the Fool tends to be very youthful. Mercury looks like someone who's in their 20s, you know, very, you know, has their hands in so many different things. But here we start seeing the understanding process. That now it's time to, like, this is almost like the 30s and 40s of the Hermit. So this is maturity. So with this Virgo Pisces 12th house, it's not that you're going to age. But you're going to gain wisdom during this time. And so the 12th house is actually asking you, what are you finding? What are you discovering about yourself? Okay, we have the lantern, we have the guiding light of the soul, that life force, especially now with our eclipse. The moon is coming in and just softening the energy and giving you this opportunity to just kind of see a little bit more of the darker aspects of yourself, parts that you haven't really seen. And this is a wonderful time to do this. Like I said, 12th house energy. It's the last house. It's the last, the sign that governs Pisces, the last sign for the astrological wheel. And then, of course, we move into Pisces. We move into Aries for the first house, and we start that cycle again. So we're seeing the ending. We're seeing the ending of a cycle. It's not the cycle, it's the ending of a cycle, because we have many of these transformations that takes place in our lives. You know, and that's why we hear people saying, God, I'm having another change. What's going on? Okay. We can't have the same thing happen over and over and over again. Like no change. Change is good. Change challenges us. Change wakens us up. It shakes us. Okay, but this change here, the shaking up of the contents within ourselves, it's not aggressive. It's a softer energy. And again, as I mentioned, Pisces and Virgo, they're both mutable characteristics, so they're feeling things out, but they know what they will find, what needs to be worked on, and then they start applying that work. Okay. And they start doing their own harvesting, if you think about it, right? They're tilling aspects of themselves, creating space, pulling out the weeds of whatever's in the past, and creating a new environment, a new place of soil to start planting seeds. Okay, and so that's the work of the Hermit, which we see here. I like how the staff is just slowly guiding the Hermit in the direction of, you know, support, but just taking the time and just feeling the energy out. You have the snake here for transformation, also in a lemon scat positioning of the tail. That the journey is always shape-shifting and moving, shedding skin, and replenishing. And I'm going to bring this up closer as we see here the seed, planting that seed, form of reproduction right here with the Ouroboros, the Orphic egg. Okay, and we also have a winter landscape, which shows this is a good time to start planting the seeds that you would like to have for the next season, for spring. We have winter, but winter, these seeds are still not maturing. It'll happen as our days start getting longer after winter, our winter solstice. So here we have our discs, the root of the powers of earth, 8, 9, and 10. These are our decans for Virgo. Our Knight of Discs, this is the personification of Virgo. Again, we're looking at the harvest. Again, think of this realm as your inner self, your inner psyche, clearing out the land, seeing what is still available to harvest, and to start planning and how you want to use these resources. You're creating space, and in that space, we're going to be planting the seeds, the hermit's new perspective of what they want to see of themselves. They start planting those seeds, the new part of themselves, which will arise in the spring season. Okay. So again, as I'm recording this partial solar eclipse is taking place. And so this energy is good for self-reflection and letting go. Easier said than done, but for those who watch various tarot channels, listens to the various readings that are out there, there are a few people out there who are doing work. You know, we can't give you, we being the readers, we can't give you answers. We can give you guidance. The ones that really understand how a person is shaped and how it gets broken down and how it gets rebuilt and how it changes shape again. It's really important to understand these processes because that's what happens with the soul and how the soul develops and transforms and reproduces into a different sense of itself. Okay, but I want to focus this energy for this reading to be more of doing the work, doing the inner work, following your inner hermit. We are in the year 2025. It's a 9-year. 9 years, a very spiritual year. It is the year that is ruled by the hermit. The hermit is a 9 card. And so quite a few people that I've been speaking to are feeling like they're finally having some awakenings about things. And so it's good to see that influence of the 9-year, of it being the hermit year, is starting to take shape with people. Everyone will have their time of transformation, whether it's good, bad, challenged. It'll happen in their year. And then they have to work through those processes to take care of themselves the best way possible. So this reading is going to be a combined reading, okay? Because I'm focusing on this energy of our 12th house, of the work that needs to be done within that house, and the cleaning of the soul after, you know, seeing what needs to be released. But you have to be willing to do that work, okay? Because if you don't do the work, the cycle begins again. And the longer you wait to make these changes, the longer it'll take for you to grow. And you may be on this hermit journey for quite some time, which is fine, but it's also very important that as the hermit, like with Pisces, that you come up into the mundane world. You come and revert that inside of yourself outwardly. Let's start seeing what's been changed, what's been shifting with you. So I'm going to do this because this is going to be a combined eclipse and autumn equinox reading, which I feel go hand in hand because of the season and the placement of the signs with the sun, moon, and Mercury all in Virgo and all in that 12th house. I'm going to pull some cards. I'm going to work with the Telos Tarot. I just want to show the placement here of the decans for Virgo, 8, 9, and 10. So right now we are in the 8 of discs. So this is of patience. This is of things that have already been cultivated, what remains, and what has been harvested. Planting seeds and just wait. This is the time that once you plant the seeds, don't go back and go, oh, you know, that wasn't a good idea. Let me dig up these seeds. Let it go. Okay. Just release it. Let it go and just see what will manifest. Of course, take care of what you've planted and be dedicated to it, but stay focused. Okay, it's very important. Don't go back. Don't be changing this energy, and the direction of where you're going. Plant it carefully. Think about it, what you want to do, and don't even think about expectations. Just plant. Stay in the present moment, and then come spring, we'll see what will develop. And then our 9 of discs. This is the energy. This is more or less what we're feeling in this process. What are we benefiting from? Okay. Again, these are related to projects, goals. If you are planting, your gain will probably not be showing up until spring. So this is all related to right now, what's happening. What are you looking for this ending of our last few months of the year? Okay, and just harness that. Harness the relationship of what you are experiencing at this time. What are the gains? What are the gains that you're feeling within yourself? What are the abundance? Okay, I'll show you this card here. So in a sense, there's still a little bit of preparing. You know, the work is still being done, but the abundance is coming from doing the work. Okay. Abundance can come from work, just the mere action of doing something towards something that you are, you know, fully invested in. It's great because you're putting yourself into that realm, creating, you know, manifesting. And then of course the 10 of the discs, the wealth. And we're also seeing, because of the Mercury, the magician, the magus, we're seeing the aging of this being. This is the maturity. This is the lessons that have been learned through this journey. This is the outcome. Okay. And again, it's how we are distributing this wealth, our personal wealth. How much of yourself are you giving to people? Is it time to maybe stop giving too much of yourself? Maybe give back to yourself. Okay. So think about those 3 things here with these cards. Our patience, the abundance by doing something, being of service, and seeing the results of being of service to people. And then the personal wealth. How do we feel about this? Okay. So I'm going to shuffle these cards here, and we're going to do some readings to see how this autumn season is going to look. So again, this is the Tellus Tarot. It's about almost a year old. It came out in November. And let me see here. Okay, yeah. I'm going to have to shuffle these cards for a little bit because they are in order. Because I'm still studying with this deck, and that's fine. This will give me something to do. And because I love the tarot so much, I don't mind doing the work and reorganizing this deck again. I'm also changing the way that I've been shuffling, depending on where I'm at and the size of the table space. I am going to do, I'm trying to think of a name that I could call it. I don't want to say the swish shuffling, but I've noticed when I do overhand shuffle, these cards, they tend to bang into each other. And because some of these decks are limited edition prints, they're starting to like hit the corners, and I don't want the cards to get damaged. Okay, there's our first one. Okay. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to do my 3 cards. Okay, so what I'm saying is, this is our card here, so let me leave this card here. My table space is good, but this camera will probably show the cards being cut off on the edges. Wow, that's pretty stunning, isn't it? Look at that. Oh, that's amazing. I like these cards that have, they're reversible. You can't tell which one's upright. Okay, so this is the card that I pulled. Let's get another card. This is 1142 right now. Okay, this one. Okay. Okay, this one's speaking to me here. Okay. All right. Whoever's watching this, if you can think of a name to call the technique of shuffling that I just did, the swirl. Let's just call it the swirl. Because I'm looking at this pattern on the back of the decks. Okay. Or the back of the cards. All right. Let's get this here. Okay, this one flipped over too, so, okay, so our first, second, third, this is the card that flipped over. All right. Okay, so this is our reading here for our partial solar eclipse in Virgo, and also the autumn equinox as we welcome in the seasonal sun of Libra tomorrow at 11:19. So we're going to start here. Oh my God. All right. Okay. 10 fives, reversed Queen of Wands, Prince of Discs. Okay. So this is Taurus energy. Okay. So we have different elements here, but the element that's holding the foundation of this reading is our Earth, because we have 2 discs here. We have our Prince of Discs. This is ruled by Taurus. Here we have our 5 of Swords. This is Aquarius energy. This is Venus in Aquarius. And then we have our Queen of Wands. I normally don't read reversals, but I will for this one. So with our 10 of Discs, okay, like I was mentioning, this is Mercury and Virgo. I'm not going to emphasize too much of the decan placement of these cards. So our 10 of Discs, as I mentioned, so this is the maturity. It's what we've learned, and how we view our relationship of wealth, material wealth, our personal wealth. Okay, this is a card that also, as we enter the autumn season, is how we can apply this to different aspects of what's going on in our lives, but also to share it with other people. Okay. Virgo for me, another aspect of Virgo is it's a sign that is of service. It's wanting to be supportive of people. That's something that benefits the sign of Virgo. Okay. But also we need to have personal boundaries. How much of ourselves are we giving to people? Okay. And this kind of spills a little bit into Libra. Okay. Libra is about relationships and keeping harmony within those relationships. Okay. And the way you start with that is the relationship you have within yourself. Okay. So by being of service to people with this Virgo influence, this is how you're harvesting parts of yourself to other people. You're sharing. You have access. You have more to give, and you can give it out to people who are in need. And this is the personal wealth from this. So this is something to take in mind from here on end for the season, just to keep in the back of your mind. Okay. And be slow during this time. You know, be mindful of where you are in this environment, and how you are seeing things and how you are communicating and feeling, and also how you take actions. Okay. Our Queen of Wands, okay, did come up reverse. So our Queen of Wands, this is water, fire. So this is the emotional aspect of when we do things in an active state. Okay, the Queen of Wands is normally assigned the sign of Aries. They are the cardinal signs. They are the initiators. The queens are. There are different systems. The kings and the queens, the knights and the queens can change characteristics. What I mean by that, some of the queens can be seen as fixed. Some of the kings can be seen, kings and knights can be seen as fixed or mutable. And so the only thing that queens aren't, they're not mutable. They are seen as either cardinal or fixed. So depending on what system or how you relate, and also it's the deck that you have, because sometimes you could see the representation of the court cards of the knights, kings, the prince, and the queens. They may come across maybe more in an active state, which is mutable, or maybe they come across more as a cardinal energy, like they're getting ready to do something, or fixed, where they're probably facing you directly and they're like firmly seated where they are. Those are some of the aspects to look at when you look at your court cards, is how they are depicted in their environment. So here, but with the Queen of Wands, with Aries reversed, this energy for me is good for this time of the year, because we are slowing this energy down. Okay, we are active. Our excitement towards things is good, but now it's just time to slow down. Okay, our creative process has already reached its apex, and now it's starting to just kind of dissipate a little bit. Okay, but the Queen of Wands, this is coming from a place of feeling. So Aries is now, this Aries ruled court card is now feeling this energy. Okay, it's becoming a little less challenge. It's becoming a little bit less, not less assertive, but less forceful. Okay, because all the work has been done. Okay, so this is like the slowing down of what has been already active during our spring, summer months. This is now a time to slow down this energy. So as we go into our last 4 months of this year, see how the energy has been developing. This is a wonderful placement, because we are looking at how things have been created, what have we built up, and now how we can just change the pace of continuing to build upon our goals and our projects. Not moving quickly, we're going to be moving slowly. We're moving with our days getting shorter, temperatures cooling down, and of course that affects everything that we do, and also how we feel and how we think. Okay, I'll jump to this card here. This is Aquarius, the decan for Aquarius. So we have here our Five of Swords. Now we know in the tarot the fives deals with crossings, challenges. I'm going to bring this card up so those who are not familiar with it can see it. Okay. So we have a stormy backdrop, and this could potentially be the Hermit, because it looks like someone who could be older. Don't know. I'm just looking at a gray beard here, but the face is covered. And we're seeing some red petals, but we're also seeing the color red here. Red is a color of life. You know, it's a life force. It's blood. What keeps us moving. But here it's been attacked. We have Five Swords here. I'm not sure what this is because there's no guidebook as of now, like a full complete guidebook for this deck, but we're seeing swords here. This is a source that is very important in this card. So just the overall energy here. We have to be mindful of when things do become too much and our emotions start building up, maybe moving in a different direction, to not let it affect the way that we've been seeing things. Okay? So when we have storm clouds, gray days, again, this affects us, and it can change our energy of what we have here to actually something that can really destroy the path that we are working towards. We're trying to maintain this, and we're trying to keep this energy softened but still moving. But we have to be careful that when we approach something or something comes to us and it seems very challenging, to not let it change the way that it will affect us getting to our end goal. Okay? We want to create balance. Okay? We want to create things that are fair. So when we get the Five of Swords, there's an imbalance. Okay? Something came our way and changed the levels of the scales. Okay? It's also an opportunity to maybe use this element of the Hermit to maybe see what we're learning at this time about ourselves, and try to avoid letting this card of the breaking down of our perspectives of things or whatnot. As long as they're positive, as long as they're goal oriented, keep it going, but try not to let it poison the direction of where you need to go to. Okay, because we're seeing the rose petals that are on the floor, so we're seeing a loss of energy. Okay, and we need to know how we can keep this life force going. Okay, so this is something that in times that are harder or challenging, find that life force, find the positive aspect, find the inspiration to keep this energy going. Because if we don't, we stay in this realm. We stay in the realm of the fives and we can't move forward. Okay, remember the minor arcana. We're seeing this building up of energy. 2 to 4s, 5, 6, 7s. We start seeing changes coming in. It's how we handle the situation that will lead us into the rest of the journey of the minor arcana. Okay. Now our Prince of Discs. Okay. This is again the sign of Taurus. Excuse me. But look at the land here, from here. Okay. And getting this kick of energy and being steadfast. So we're replenishing this energy here. I'm going to move this forward so you can see. So we see a valley backdrop. This is almost like the landscape in spring of where I live. It's green and we start seeing pops of color around the springtime. Okay. The way I like everyone to do this reading is, what can we do to keep ourselves, inner selves, external self fertile? Okay. What are we putting within ourselves that can still create this landscape being ourselves, still flourishing? Okay. This card here is what's needed to move out from this, from defeat. Okay. It's being practical. It's being mindful of how we invest our time and what resources we're using to take care of ourselves and those around us. This is what we need within ourselves for the season. We're going to keep moving, but it's not going to be explosive. It's not going to be fiery. I feel the autumn months are the earthiest months. And this is where we bring in those elements of grounding, foundation, planning, preparing. These are all earth-based actions. And then, of course, when we get into our winter months, winter can sometimes be assigned the suit of swords. There, again, depending on how you want to work with the suits, the wands, cups, swords, and pentacles, seasonally they can be switched. The swords can be identified as winter. Cups sometimes comes in for the fall months. Pentacles would be, and coins would represent our spring. And sometimes the fiery aspects of the suit can sometimes come in for summer. So it gets switched around depending on different systems that you use. If you want to align with the energy of the seasons, you can work with the suits accordingly. But I actually feel for autumn, that autumn's more earthy because of that. We smell the earth more as our weather starts cooling down. And so, and also our energy. We're coming down from our higher realms, and we're coming down more to the lower realms of being more grounded and being more footed with nature, with earth. So that's our reading. That's our reading here. So it's just a lot of energy of being mindful and respectful of how we treat ourselves and creating boundaries. You know, if you feel that there are outside sources coming in, this is again a time where we're moving in the hermit phase. We're becoming more introverted. We're becoming more self-reflective. Okay, but also challenges may come up, and we need to know how to work with this. We still have this life force, and we're needing to do the work for this, but we have to move forward. We have to keep this thriving inside of us. Okay, and our Queen of Wands, this energy, it's still there. I almost want to place this here We're just softening the energy. Okay, we're moving, but it's moving in a direction of where we need to place this action into things that are most important, things that are of great value, something that has great investment for us. All right. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach me. I'm available to do readings online, and I could do private readings if you like. You go to my website. All the information is going to be in the description of this. And be kind to yourself. Always. It should be no matter what time of the year, but especially this time of the year. I think energies, the emotional aspects, and the sensitivities of people starts becoming a little bit more, because we're coming more down to earth. And so we're going to be feeling things a lot more than we were in the spring and summer. Well, everything is becoming more outward, or everything was more outward. This energy is now retracting inward. All right, so this is your partial solar eclipse reading. Sun, Moon, and Mercury, all in the signs of Virgo as of this time of this reading. It is now 12 o'clock. And these signs are all in the house, or all in the 12th house, or the house of doing deep work, reflecting, and being honest, having a true conversation with yourself about how you need to address certain situations. All right. Okay. Have a wonderful week. Again, happy autumn equinox. Happy seasonal Libra for tomorrow at 11:19. Tomorrow, September 21st, Monday, we move into our autumn equinox. Enjoy our last days where night and day become equal, and our days will start moving even shorter from that point onward until we get to the winter solstice. So I look forward to reconnecting with all of you again, and hit the notification button, and stay tuned for some more content. Thank you again.